gonna stand together and fight this disease.
I come this way before, traveled through the open door. Circumstances navigated the path, and life happened oh so fast. No, it got lonely. Sometimes you see, I know we couldn't make it. Even when I'm off beat, I still land on my feet, and nothing can shake me, cause I know life took a hold of me. I never. This is where I am destined to be. I'm not ready to give up. I believe in the miracle of life. Life's a play for no rehearsal. Learn quickly, they'll come for your role. Games we play, can't take it personal, cause the devil is a liar. Telling you the truth, hey. It's only what you do, hey. Some things you gotta do, hey. It's fight for millions, take a second, see the blessing in it. But much expected, much is given. When I made the living, now I'm giving back to children. Never let the power come first before your happiness, yes. You can be the best if you go the distance. Mix a little sweat with your persistence. You know that the best things are never instant. Just shine, let them see your brilliance. Get up, open up your eyes now. It's the moment of truth. No backing down. We're bringing it through like for the children, it's a given. You gotta give it, be a blessing.
This my personal statement. Run the game like I'm ASICs. Learn to develop patience, determined to be the greatest. Yeah, bobbing and weaving, they changing up like the seasons. Indigenous to the grind, so I do it for all my people. Jabbing the competition, back up against the ropes. You fighting for recognition, I'm fighting just to promote equality where we lacking. While cancer slowing our road, I'm confident we'll make it. We focus on common goals. Yeah,
give back, give love, giving something away. Never give up, stand tall to fight another day. 2 toes, 2 feet, I stand on the ground. I'm going back soon and fight this final round. Life's a play for no rehearsal. Learn quickly, they'll come for your role. Games we play, can't take it
personal, cause the devil is a lie. Hey. Telling you the truth, hey.
It's only what you do, hey. Some things you gotta
do, hey. Barbershop conversations, man. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. We got a hell of a show today, man. I'm really excited that y'all came in. I know everyone is watching Minister Farrakhan right now, so they'll come in a little later. You know what I mean? If we consider Pastor Usher, Deacon 305, and our boy TB long-winded, First AME Baptist Church, Minister Farrakhan, you could take a nap, man. Go work your part-time job. He's still gonna be talking. But I appreciate everybody coming in today, man. Thank you. And yeah, we have Emory Douglas, man, the Minister of Culture for the Black Panther Party, man. For those of you who don't know, go Google him and everything pops up, and you're gonna realize how impactful his artwork was as it relates to the movement and the progression of the Black Panther Party and substantiating themselves in modern day culture. So similar to Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party, when times get like when it's time for us to be a revolutionary, people lean on them like Tupac and everybody else and stuff like that. I think that Reggie and Triple OG in charge of security. You know what I mean? How's everybody Friday night? Hey, y'all want to hear something funny as hell? Bro, I didn't go in the house. I got in the house around about 8:30, 8:45. And you know, that was the first time I drove with headlights on. I was like, it's dark out. The light, I haven't drove in over 100 days. without using my headlight. So I had no understanding. It was weird, man. It was a weird feeling, man. It was a really weird feeling. And I was like, it felt different, you know what I mean? So it was pretty interesting to say the least. So, but anyways, man, so that was my Friday night, man. We'll be back tomorrow. We got a fun show. And don't forget Monday, we got Mars, man. He was one of the producers on Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. That shit gonna be epic. And then on Wednesday, speaking of Minister Farrakhan, we got Minister Tony Muhammad coming in Wednesday night. And if I'm not mistaken, Cheryl Dorsey will be doing the interview with me. So you know that shit gonna be electric, fire. Yeah. So Christopher. So anticipate that. And as I tell you guys, I'm not sure how long I have the guests. When they feel comfortable, I'll open up the phone lines and stuff like that. So I'm uncertain of how long I have them, but it's just great to have them. You know what I mean? Where we can see them and see them in the flesh. You know what I mean? So hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Tomorrow we got an open topic. Obviously, Glovegate 2.0. Hey, I had breaking news. I'll show you guys really quick before we jump into the interview. Check this out. Yeah, not for those of you who didn't watch my video yet. Watch this. You see the glove on the table? It's an old glove. Let me swipe left so y'all can see it. Look, it has creases in it already. You know, what I mean, this shit is getting more and more interesting by the second, man. More and more interesting by the second, by the moment. You know what I mean? So fasten your seatbelts, man. I like Champ Size line. He says, this is gonna be the craziest 30 for 30 in the history of 30 for 30s. Man, watch. Watch when that mob dude go to jail. He gonna be singing. Why else? You know, I mean, mob bosses don't go to jail for 5 years. They go up and do Fed time. What they call it, Club Fed. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but that's what they call it over here. Shout out to Big Dog Willie, man. And he said, Fuzuck. Dillian White. What? Well, you be all Dillian White's helmet, dog. For sure. I appreciate you, big homie. Thank you, dog. And yeah, man. Dillian White, where you at, man? Dillian White, you got to come in the barbershop, man. You got to come in the barbershop, man. I tried to get him a couple of weeks ago. It fell through. When I told you guys I reached out to his team and tried to get him. But yeah, it's getting more and more interesting, man. You see the gloves and stuff. So it's pretty I gotta get some wireless headphones. But it's gonna get and for those of you who really wants to know the truth about why we call cops pigs, y'all want to know the truth behind the story? It's because of Emory Douglas. You know what I mean? Emory Douglas did this illustration in the Black Panther Party newspaper. And the term we use now, it went viral. And because of Emory Douglas, we call cops pigs. You know what I mean? Without that, we wouldn't. How many times as a child or as a young adult you heard Tupac call cops pigs and you motherfucking got riled up, ready to go. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. So, but anyways, man, I appreciate everybody coming in. He's coming in at 11:05, so he'll be in at around 11:05. And feel free to ask your questions. I'll definitely ask you guys questions. Like, we're all producers of this show, and that's what makes this so beautiful. You know what I mean? Is that we all are active participants in history, because a lot of these interviews, I genuinely believe that people are going to pull information from. for like future documentaries, and we're not gonna get the credit because I do the same thing. I do research but we're active participants in history forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. So I genuinely believe that. So that's why we're here. So I appreciate everybody coming in, man. We rocking and rolling. And yeah, man, that's where we're at today. So tomorrow we're gonna talk about the new glove situation and stuff like that. It's gonna I just want to see how they're gonna get out of this. I can't see how they're gonna get out of it. I genuinely don't. I genuinely can't see how they're gonna get out of this. Don't see it at all. You know what I mean? So y'all guess is as good as mine. And okay, good. It just caught up. So I don't know how they're gonna get out of it as pertains to Tyson Fury. What questions y'all want to ask him? That's one of the biggest reasons why I like coming on early, so we can get comfortable in the room, comfortable in the shop. You know what I mean? What types of questions y'all would like me to ask? I have a bunch of notes. So but yeah, man, we're active participants in history. So feel free to what are some things you guys would like to ask Emory Douglas? Cause the devil is a lie. Eh? I'm telling you the truth. Eh? If you have any, yeah, that's true. Agitator, that's right. And keep on putting out them videos, man. Keep putting them out. 10 a day. Especially when you got a new channel, 10 a day. 10 a day. That's what I told myself when I was I got to put out 10 videos a day. I don't give a fuck if I get 10 views, 100 views, or 1,000 views, 10 a day. And now Farrakhan just got done. Okay, so people gonna start piling in now. Yeah, man. I watch bits and pieces of it. I go in and out of emotions with Minister Farrakhan. You guys know that by now, because I just love Malcolm X. So, and he said some insidious comments years ago, and I'm also cognitive of how he impacts Black men in America. So I sit still on a type of conversation that I really want to have, because I know his impact. So I play my role. It was it yeah. But we got Minister Tony Muhammad coming in on Wednesday, July 8th. Do not miss that show. Minister Tony Muhammad is, for those of you who he is the LA version of Minister Farrakhan. Okay. Like, this is his sector, his section. So he's very impactful. I've seen him hands-on. I've seen him work in the community. And I'm very interested in what he has to say in today's climate, and you are too, and you're going to be very interested too, and very powerful. So if you've seen Nuri Muhammad speak, if you've seen Nuri Muhammad speak, then you'll understand who Minister Tony Muhammad is. They're different people, but they're firm in what they believe in. You know what I mean? They stand firm. So that's where it's at. So Wednesday, and I think Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey will be doing the show with me. Yeah, I mean, people change and grow. I mean, I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. I just, what I mean, because the same iniquities that he asked of America is the same iniquities that he should ask of former, if not older, members of the NOI. You know what I mean? Repent your sins, right? So that's kind of, I go up and down on it. You know what I mean? So, but I stay silent on it. You know what I mean? I stay silent. But I have Minister Tony Muhammad coming in, and maybe he can facilitate that conversation out of me. You know what I mean? We'll see. So stay tuned on Wednesday. Stay tuned on Wednesday. Stay tuned on Wednesday, man. It's gonna be a hell. It's gonna be a very strong show. You about to hear three people talk with great conviction. I'm assuming Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey comes in and Minister Tony Muhammad is coming in, and he'll be in Atlanta. He said so. He's gonna come in at midnight. So he'll come in and we'll have these conversations. So um, it's gonna be amazing. So um, so that's kind of my stance on it. You know what I mean? And I go in and out of emotions with it. You know what I mean? Because in my quiet time, I watch a lot of Malcolm X videos. I listen to his daughter speak, and I listen to primary people speak, and you know what I mean. And when Malcolm X was talking about people wanting his life, um, I forget the gentleman's name. Uh, he was working with Muhammad Ali, and he told Malcolm X about the silencer, and then shortly after that he was murdered and stuff like that. So it's and then the bombing and knowing the locations in the house. You know what I mean? It's I go in and out of it. You know what I mean? I definitely go in and out of it. So that's genuinely what I feel about it. We'll have this conversation here one day. You know what I mean? One day. And maybe we should, because I know many men have these thoughts too. Maybe we should have this conversation, but it'll be after Tony Muhammad, because maybe he can pull it out of me, and maybe he can answer the questions and give me a level of solace. So what I mean, it's like someone murdering your favorite. It's like a family member murdering your favorite uncle. You know what I mean? Similar to that. You know what I mean? It's 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 kind of like that. So, oh, by the way, the painting is done. It will be here in about 3 or 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. It's getting shipped, so that's gonna be exciting. That wait till y'all see this painting. Oh my heavens! Finally done. 8 months later, it is done. So we are good. It's gonna be behind me as some. Maybe I'll put it right there. Yeah, maybe I'll take that. Maybe I'll put it underneath that. Yeah, maybe I'll do it like that. That'd be pretty cool. So you guys can anticipate that. It's gonna be a hell of a piece. The title of it is gonna be called "Block for Me, Black Man." That's the title of the piece. "Block for Me, Black Man." Oh man. So yeah, everyone should be forgiven. I mean, you don't forget. Forgiveness is for you though, so you can live on with your life. You know what I mean? So you can have closure. You know what I mean? And that's where the spiritual realm comes in, where you don't have to. I mean, it's tough. Like you want the guilty party to apologize, and similar to what we're doing in America, apologize and give us our reparations. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I understand that. But when you really, really get into your higher self, you don't really need an apology. You know what I mean? But we all human, so we all fall short, up and down, left, right. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and that's the beauty in life, you know, conquering your day. I mean, getting better in your day. You know, what I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's really, really the beauty of it. And yeah, I appreciate you, DB, for the link too. I appreciate you for the link earlier, DB. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I struggle with it a lot because I read about Malcolm X every day or watch a video about it every day. I intentionally drove down Broadway yesterday just so I can drive by where he spoke at. You know what I mean? So it's it bees that way sometimes. You know what I mean? So I would say Malcolm X is like my favorite uncle. You know what I mean? Your favorite uncle that used to be in the streets and now he's just really, really a good man. Everyone got an uncle like that. You know what I mean? So that was Malcolm. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to read your comment. That harm or the anger. Yeah. We don't have, yeah, we don't have to harbor. You're right. We don't have to harbor it. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's yeah, we got this thing called human, this human element. You know what I mean? It's this man, this thing we got called being human. Sheesh. It's challenging at times. You know what I mean? So how y'all celebrating July 4th? How y'all celebrating July 4th? How y'all going about your day today? I'm very interested. Are y'all celebrating the 4th of July? Are you? I'm interested. I saw some memes. 15 days after Juneteenth, I saw a whole bunch of other stuff too. I've been on this for some years now, though. So I'm very happy that I have some friends now. I've been saying this for a long time. Christmas, you know what I mean. However, since family is off, because we work in America, they get the Monday or the Friday off, so it's in our better interest to come together as a family. You know, maybe rename it or something. You know what I mean? So I know people are gonna be off on Monday, or they were off yesterday. I'm uncertain of that, but I understand the duality we got to have as quote unquote Americans. You don't want to celebrate the 4th of July, but the government gives you the day off. I know, right? Hypocrisy. Uh, so, so I get that. I 100% get all of that. You know what I mean? So no parties over here. I'm chilling. Um, I got a birthday party to go to after this interview. I got a birthday party to go to, and then we'll be good. So uh, yeah, man. But just be safe. Make sure you get home. You know what I mean? I'm always home before like um on 4th of July. I'm always home by 7:30 because I live in LA. I live in a big city. So big city, multiple personalities. And you don't know how, and you can't control how other people celebrate it. And it's a Saturday, you know what I mean? And it's all that. So with all those elements in play, I'll be home by 7 tonight, and I'll be watching something on Netflix or some shit like that, or get stuck on the YouTube black hole. Well, once you click on YouTube, man, that shit goes up. Man, gosh. Man, YouTube goes all day and all night long. You know what I'm saying? It's it's tough sledding sometimes, but we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. I'll give him 5 more minutes, and then I'll call him and see if he's, what I mean, because maybe he got that Kendall Gill in him. You know what I mean? Maybe he had to go upstairs in his mansion and get some help, or bread man. You know what I mean? Oh man, where they got three houses in one. You got to speak on it. He had to get on the telecom. You know what I mean? Hey, how do you? Yeah, just click the link. Yeah, I mean, so, but yeah, that's where we're at with this. Yeah. So Minister Farrakhan is done speaking. He's done. I saw he had to sit down, man. Father Time is beginning to catch up with Minister Farrakhan. You know what I mean? He done had some battles in his life. He beat cancer. Shit, he came out the 60s. That's enough, right? Beat cancer. You know what I mean? And him being the man that he is. So uh I 100% understand that. So uh I wonder who's going to be the new leader of the Nation of Islam. And that would be a great question to ask Minister Tony Muhammad. How does the leader of the Nation of Islam gets chosen? You know what I mean? Man. So I'm very interested in that, how how they get chosen. You're close. You're close, Mr. Douglas. It says you got to connect your mic and your camera, and then we'll be ready. He's in. I see you. You got to connect it. Oh, he got it. Let me call him on the phone because I see him. He's in. We halfway. We halfway there. One second, guys. Let me call him real quick. One second, guys. We ironing out these details. Limo tent the V12. Can you hear me now, Mr. Douglas?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Now you got to mute your volume on your computer so we don't get the background noise.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming into the barbershop on a Saturday, man. Thank you for offering us your Saturday, man. We genuinely appreciate you.
Thank you, my brother. I'm glad you reached out for sure.
And the minister of the culture of the Black Panther Party, man. How special is that?
Well, glad to be here, brother.
Uh-huh.
As a part of an organization that, yeah.
I was listening to Louis Farrakhan this morning. He gave a speech, and a question came to my mind. You joined the Black Panther Party. Were you ever affiliated with the NOI? And
no, I wasn't. Most of folks that I know of, maybe a few were at one point in time or another.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wasn't personally yet.
Okay.
But I knew a lot of brothers and sisters who were.
Gotcha.
Because we come out of the Black Arts Movement and all that. So there were many people had different perspectives on how they want to move forward in relationship to dealing with the making about change, Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you were you ever inspired by Malcolm X at all?
Oh yeah. Well, Malcolm X was the inspiration for the Black
I know you're from
Party.
Detroit. Because I know you're from Detroit.
Well, I am from Detroit. I'm from Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids. I apologize.
Yeah, but I came here as a youngster, and I was born before 1943. I came here in 1951 because I had asthma as a kid, and the doctor thought the weather would be better. And my mother had a sister who lived here in San Francisco, so that's why we came out here to the West. And so I lived here most of my life, really.
Can you speak upon the connection between the Black Panther Party and Malcolm X?
Well, Huey and Bobby were the ones who were inspired by the spirit of Malcolm. When he went to Mecca and came back from Mecca with this whole world view, different world view, that was what they inspired them in relationship to Brother Malcolm himself.
How did you meet Huey?
Well, what happened, I was when I was going to City College of San Francisco. I was in the Black Arts Movement during that period, and it was a lot of stuff going on. Same things you have today. A lot of police abuse and murders, and always being justified. A lot of rebellions took place, and so. But I knew of my work, activists, and knew of my work in the at City College in the Black Arts Movement. So one of them asked me, they were planning a meeting to bring Malcolm X's widow to the Bay Area to honor her. And they wanted me to do the poster for that event. It was a basic poster of Brother Malcolm. And I went to the event, and they said there were maybe some brothers coming to the meeting, and some brothers coming over to the next meeting who would decide, would let us know if they were going to do the security for that event or not. That was Huey Newton and Bobby Seale and a few of the Panthers. And after that meeting, I knew that's what I wanted to be a part of. So I asked them how I could join. Huey and Bobby me their phone numbers. They had a business card. I didn't have a car then, so I used to connect with Huey, catch the bus over to Oakland from San Francisco, go by his house. He showed me around the neighborhood, then we go by Bobby Seale's house. This was late January, early February, 3.5 months after the organization started. And that's when I began my transition into the Black Panther Party, involved in the Black Arts Movement.
And your family's, I heard in an interview where your family took out an insurance policy on you.
Oh, yeah. They said, boy, you crazy. But they told me, yeah, we took out an insurance policy on you. But when my mother passed on and my stepfather passed on, I gave it to kids, my grandkids.
Beautiful.
Yeah, to my daughter. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a great. Can you give us a feel of what it's like? The 60s and 70s as a Black Panther, just the feel of it. And was it really like every time you stepped out of your house, you felt like there was a threat on your life?
Well, it came to that point, absolutely. Whether we were aware of it in the beginning or not, you begin to realize that because of the intensity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
After little Bobby Hutton was murdered in Oakland, California, and prior to that being stopped and harassed and what have you, you knew something was happening, but you didn't know what it was, and we were becoming more aware of it. But you were young. This is a youth movement.
Yes.
This was, so the spirit was to, regardless of the concerns, we would continue on doing what we were trying to do. Trying to achieve. Or what have you. Of course, you do have some who could only go so far in the context of the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And made their contribution and had to move on. But most people stay, Yeah.
Yeah, because right off the jump, y'all had some tough times. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned the first assassination, and then UCLA, and you know what I mean, and then Fred Hampton, and then LA. That year, it was very like tough times, I would say, in terms of I'm literally out here risking my life. And the impact
this was part of the counterintelligence program.
Yeah.
That we were to become aware of, and that was across the country. You had the murder of Fred Hampton in Chicago. Yeah. You had also the raid in Philadelphia where they took the Panthers out in the winter in the cold and had them in their underwear, like all those kinds of things. You had different almost shootouts across the country, because in that period we were talking about the self-defense. That was the point number 7 of the 10-point platform program. And why it started on that, because of the crisis situation with the police and the murders always being justified during that time. So that's why I started around point number 7 instead of the one, instead of a decent house or education, all those things. At that point, which you would say around late 68, 69 is when we begin to shift into the social program and get more involved in that context. And which purely for self-defense.
Yes.
You had a legal right, the Second Amendment of the Constitution, but not in the same sense that they talking about it today. It was in the context of patrols in the community, and when stopping to observe those brothers and sisters who were harassed out there in the community and coming to their the system and letting them know that they had legal rights, to either say nothing or give their name and address, and if they were arrested, then Panthers would try to come and bail them out.
Gotcha.
So that was part, and it was standing legal distance away from the police, not interfering with the arrest. So Huey and them had understood all this because they had studied the law and had access to it when they began to develop the foundation of what the Black Panther Party's vision was. It was first called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Then the name changed to the Black Panther Party.
Wow. And I know the story of why it's called the Panther. Can you tell the listeners why it was changed to the Panther?
Well, it was obvious the Panther, but what happened is early on, at the same time that the meeting for Sister Betty Shabazz, I put a context to it, was coming, they had wrote the letter to have her come to be honored. She wasn't responding that time. So we're kind of concerned. So it was a brother that had just got out of prison who was a follower of Malcolm in prison. They knew he had got out, and so they wanted to see if he would write on their behalf. And I went to the house with them. That was Eldridge Cleaver. Eldridge Cleaver wrote the letter on behalf of the organization, and she came on that because of that. And what happened was that am I off now?
No, I'm here.
So what happened after that when she came, and then where were we going now? I got it back after this.
Oh, you talking about the Panther?
Yeah. Okay. So here the Panther comes from when Eldridge was going back and forth, when he finally started work with the Panthers, he was going back and forth to Atlanta doing speaking engagements.
Sure.
This is about 3 or 4 editions of the paper had already been published. The Huey and them had always been using the Panther from day one. But because it had such respect for Stokely, Snick, and all those folks at that time, and had made some connection with them through Eldridge going back and forth to Atlanta. I remember when we had a skeleton crew working on the paper at Eldridge Cleaver studio apartment. And Huey and Bobby came over just when Eldridge was about ready to go to Atlanta. And they said, well, you would want to get official, okay, to continue using the Panther, because we have such a respect for Snick and them.
Yes.
That they want to get the official, okay, and they agreed. But the symbol itself comes from the South during the Civil Rights Movement. In 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was passed, you had students Snick like Stokely and those who went to Lowndes County, Alabama, which is the Bo Connors, the racist redneck county. It was about 20,000 strong, which I understand, and you predominantly 80% black. A lot of them couldn't read or write, sharecroppers, what have you, had been intimidated about the right to wanting to vote and what have you over periods of time. So when they kind of began to educate them about the rights to vote, they didn't have to vote. But they didn't want to be the Democratic Party nor the Republican Party.
Gotcha.
So they started the Lowndes County Freedom Organization. And like the right racists was the Democratic Party, had an icon as a rooster which stood for supremacy. So them to be an official organization, the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, had to have a son. So what they did is they seen these high sports teams, what I understand, like the animals and what have you, as the mascots, and they chose Panther. So the symbol comes from the South during the Civil Rights Movement.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned a 10-point program. I have it on the screen right here. Number 7, it says, we want immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. And now it's 22. This was the late 60s, early 70s. You guys had implemented this.
Yeah.
Do you see progress?
I would say much as things change, some things stay the same. You know? Why did they get murder and brutalized us and we get the blame? You know what I'm saying? So it's basically, you can have progress in one aspect, possibly, and then you have regression and repression,
What's the solution?
So in that context, I would say in regards to the police, I would say it's gotten worse and become more. It had for a while until Brother Floyd was the spark that lit the prairie fire. People had become comfortable, accepted,
Gotcha.
that being the reality, But no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, you go.
But I think with the enlightenment of younger generations days, I think that was start to broke the camel fire. Started the camel fire. Start the fire, really.
Yeah. Do you think, or have you seen anything like this before? Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and now George Floyd, Rodney King. Have you seen anything like this before?
Yeah, 60s. That's what 60s was about.
No, I'm talking about I apologize. I stand corrected. In reaction to their murders.
Well, yeah. You go back to Detroit. You go back to the Watts riot. All those. You go back many times in between that during the 60s. Over 300 some million in this country during the 60s.
Now you. The term pig, and your artwork. Today we would say it went viral, but can you talk about like your artwork and then lead us to like the story of the pig, the artwork of the pig and how it correlates to police, and now we use the term pig. fuck the pigs and stuff like that. Tupac, most notable, you know what I mean, saying that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Well, it came about in the early days of the organization when Huey and Bobby were trying to recruit Eldridge to work as the editor for the new paper because they knew of his writings in prison, but he couldn't because on parole. So he was able to get around helping in the early days because he worked at a magazine, Ramparts magazine, gave him the assignment of the Panthers. And so he agreed to help work on early on the paper. And we used to work out at the studio apartment before we had a central headquarters, any chapters or branches or whatever. And Huey and Bobby were always coming over. We were working on the paper. We were cutting up, talking about what happened that evening or what in police or what was going on in the community on various levels. So it happened one evening, we were about the pigs and on the swines and pigs. That's when we were talking about how they had then at that time. What happened is that one evening, Huey and Bobby brought over this image of a pig on 4 hoofs and said, "We want you to put the badge number on this drawing each week on this pig drawing." So to notify people in the community who are the ones who are the bad actors, who are misusing their power. And it's just that first badge number was of the pig named Fry, who got killed when Huey Newton got wounded. And after Huey Newton, Free Huey movement started. So it came to me about I cleaned that one up because of my art skills. So I think it was about maybe a couple of papers thereafter. It just came to me. Why don't I stand it up on 2 hoofs? Keep the snort, keep the tail, the badge, and the eyes. And that became the iconic image that people around the world begin to identify with. It transcended the African American, the Black Panther Party. It went beyond borders. It became this iconic image that people just be a symbol of oppression.
Absolutely. And can you talk about going up to the state capitol bearing arms? You talked about the Second Amendment and how it changed in the state of California, and as it relates to the Black Panther Party. Walking up to I'll never forget that interview of that white. I remember vividly, man, that white newscaster saying, "Oh man, the black men are coming up to with guns." You know, were you a part of that group?
Yes.
Oh man, please talk. Let's go. Let's go talk about.
What happened? There was a meeting the meeting that morning in Oakland, explain why we were going to the Capitol. Now, understanding, too, that it was not just Panthers who were involved in going to the Capitol. There were other comrade allies, a brother named Mark Comfort, who had been in the civil rights movement and knew the Loudoun County Black Panther, where the symbol from, was organized in Oakland. He knew Huey in there. He also, his group of youngsters who he was organizing, also along with Mark. And that's the brother you might see with the brilliant glasses. You know.
Yeah.
And then had a brother named Denzel Dye, who was murdered in Richmond, California, who Mark Comfort had thought that Huey and them would assist the family, got them with their family. And some of their family, also brothers and sisters, were a part of the delegation. Bobby C's wife was a part of the delegation. So it was men and women who were part of it, but you just see thing on how they on TV, just this group of Panthers, and they try to give the context of it being these youngsters. But it was more than that. It was explained why Bobby would be going, he would lead the delegation.
Bobby Seals, correct?
And the Huey would be staying behind. Because if had already visioned that this could possibly be a colossal event where there'd be a lot of press, and there also could be the possible arrest. So somebody needs to stay back, deal with the news and all that. If there was an arrest, or if there was a lot of coverage to talk about why we went, because this is still in the infant stages. This is about
67.
This is 67. This is May 2nd. May 1st was on a Sunday. On May Day fell on the Sunday. We were on the Monday, which was May 2nd. So it's still in the infant stages of the organization itself. Gotcha. So when it got to and the whole idea also had executive mandate number 1 that was to be read by Bobby Seale when we got to the state capitol. When we got there, it said it was not going there for any gunplay at all. All the guns were put in the trunk in the car to travel from point A to point B, which is when we got to Sacramento. Then we would take them out and legally carry them with the gun. And so that's what was done. When we got to the state capitol, on the lawn, it just so happened that Ronald Reagan, who was then the governor of the state of California, who became the president of the United States, was standing about 10 feet away having a press conference. At that time, the press was all around him. They seen us and they gravitated to us where we were. And it was already explained that we weren't to say anything. Bobby was to do all the talking. And at that time, the executive mandate, they asked why he was there. Bobby explained that we were going to observe the legislation because they had gotten this right-wing assemblyman to change the gun order, local gun order, because the police were frustrated because they could not deal with the issue of black people carrying guns and know the constitutional rights in the context of standing a distance away, not interfering with the arrest, telling people what their rights were, brothers, what their rights were when they were being arrested. So that became an issue with them, and it was pretty tense at times when those things happened. And so they were trying to shift and change the local gun ordinance. Bobby read on the line before we went in, executive mandate number 1, and it was talking about then the concentration camps USA that they were preparing for black people in particular in this country. Today we call it the prison industrial complex. So after that, they left and went to the capitals, and they opened up the doors. It ain't like we just pushed our way in and bogarted. We opened up the door, and press was following us because they wanted to go in to see what was happening in the chambers.
Sure.
So they leading this stuff. We don't know where the chambers are. So somebody instructed us to go up the stairs, and when we go up the stairs to go into the chambers, the first one go in is the press, and the first thing you hear is they get the press here. Following right after that is the Panthers, and they get the guns out of here. So everybody leaves, and we go out and go downstairs, and we go back out on the lawn, and we sit there and talk for about 5 or 10 minutes, and we leave. We go to a filling station about 2 blocks away, somewhere around there, and had the guns and was still had the guns out, put them into the trunk at the station or whatever. While that was happening, you had this white policeman on his motorcycle came by, and he seen all the blacks with his guns. He got on his little bike and whoop whoop. Next thing we know, got helicopters, police swooping down from every angle. They take guns, so they will be violating and make the arrest, but at the same time, they're talking crazy. And they take the guns and they try to make them in violation of the local ordinance by pumping the bullets into the chamber, so they'd be ready to be cut off and all those things. And so we were arrested. And we were arrested. It was a major event because that was the first call we call a colossal event, because you had people all over the country saying they wanted to be Panthers. Because so this thing was already there. They're saying we want to be how we can show our as a Panthers. So we going back and forth, Sacramento, dealing with this case. They don't know everybody who has guns. They can't see it in the film. Know that Bobby had gun and a few others, but they didn't see everybody. Mm-hmm. So we're going back and forth. And they didn't have a case, but they didn't want to drop it. So the lawyer said he wanted to make a deal that we plead to a misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. And then they would give us non-supervised probation. Means that you just have you go plead guilty, you walk out the court. That's it. You do what you do.
Sure.
You don't have to report any of that. Mm-hmm. And it was assumed, it was said we need to do that because it's the early phase of the party. We spend a lot of money going back and forth. We're not able to organize in full strength because we're still going back and forth, raising money for the bail, all this, those kinds of things. And so we need to get focused on getting organizing. So what happened is that he said we plead guilty, but they didn't, like I said, they didn't know nobody had guns. So Bobby brought us together and said that they wanted, I think it was 7 to 11 of us to plead guilty to misdemeanor. Mm. I was one of those chosen to plead guilty. Mm. So when we went to the court, we came back assuming that we're going to plead guilty. We're going to turn around and walk on out. So, because that was the deal. Oh, wow. So when we went in and we pleaded guilty and started to walk out the court, the judge said, no, y'all come back. Y'all going to jail. So they set us up. Mm. And so I think I did about 2 weeks, 4 weeks in the end. Other Bobby, I think, did about a month. And others, little Bobby Hutton, who was the youngest brother, who Hugh and Bobby had mentored and got permission from his parents for him to be a Black Panther, who was 16 at the time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And so he did about 3 or 4 months or more in juvenile at that time. So that's that's how Sacramento went. Yeah.
Mm. How did Bobby's death affect the Black Panther Party?
Who? Lil Bobby?
Yeah.
Oh, that had a great impact. Lil Bobby was loved by everybody.
I know. I get that in my readings. Yeah.
Yeah. Mumia Abu Jamal, when they had the raid in Philadelphia, when they put the Panthers took them out in the snow in the winter. Mm-hmm. Well, thereafter, I went back with another Panthers to visit the Philadelphia office. And that's the first time I met Mumia. He was 15 and a half years old. Mm-hmm. He was the deputy minister of information then. Mm-hmm. And so people were inspired. He was inspired by Lil Bobby. He had a picture of Lil Bobby up there then. Mm. So because this was a youth movement, that first phase was just young people, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years of age. Mm. And I was just 21 going on 22. I think Huey Newton was 23. The old folks in the party was Bobby Seale, Elby Big Man Howard, and maybe Elgin Cleveland, So this was a youth movement.
How many of y'all they use storm the beaches of Normandy? How many of y'all stormed the footsteps? I mean, the footsteps of Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. How many of y'all actually went to Capitol Hill? And
with Sacramento?
Yeah, Sacramento.
It was a whole group. You can't. There was one picture took, and it was about 20 of us in the 20, picture, but it was more than that. Mm. There was more than that because you don't see the photographs with the Dial family in them, mm-hmm. Artists. So we each had about 25, maybe 30 people overall. Yeah, because we went in caravan cars in the caravan. Yeah. Mm.
Now you mentioned something about leadership. You said Bobby was the one that was supposed to speak. It seemed like y'all had a good understanding of roles.
Yeah,
and why?
Early,
and why?
Let's start off early. In many ways, to start off. Huey was more intellectually a great communicator, mm-hmm. one-on-one, gravitating with intellectual scholars mm-hmm. and what have you. Bobby was more of a people's person in the way he communicated and talked. And I remember early on when they had just the headquarters. It was not a headquarters; it was an office where they did a lot of technical training with that first cadre mm-hmm. that started, youngsters.
Sure.
And I remember when I started, was going back and forth, and I used to hang out with Elgin because Elgin lived in San Francisco then. Mm. And so they were trying to recruit him and to work on the paper, and so they wanted me to work on the paper. And so I connected with Elgin back and forth and going back and forth in that period. And so what happened is that the elders had set up, because he knew people in the mainstream press from the local papers newspapers to do a story on the Panthers. The first story, big story that had been done. And that's the one where you may see the photograph of Huey, Bobby with the shotgun with holster, and Huey with the shotgun on this big poster, standing together.
Yeah.
In the mirror. Well, that was the location.
Gotcha.
And so what to get to your point is that one day the youngsters that came in over there, it's just an open air space inside. And when they came in, they were late. And what happened, Huey was talking to saying how they were late and they weren't being responsible and disciplined. They had been taking care of cleaning up, they're doing the technical work with equipment and stuff. And he told them that they were suspended for a week. And so when they left, he was talking to Huey, and he said, Huey, I'm sorry. He talked to Bobby, and he was to Bobby, you got a better rapport with the youngsters than I do, relationship and more patience than I do. So it's good that you deal with the comrades and I deal with the other stuff.
Gotcha.
You see? So one, how it became the other one was that sometimes we'd be cutting it up and Bobby would be reciting Brother Malcolm, reciting Dr. King and what have you, verbatim, page for page, know them by heart, and tell you what page it was. And Huey said at that time that, Bobby, you're the one who do the public because you're good at that. Gotcha. I'm not good at that. You see? And so it came like that. And so that's why it came in that context of why Bobby was the one of the face of doing the public speaking as the co-founder. And Huey was the one who was back doing a lot of other things that had been done.
Gotcha.
Working with a lot of intellectual scholars and whatever.
How was the funding? How did y'all get the bulk of y'all funding? Because y'all did a lot. Y'all transcended like basically what we known as breakfast in schools, neighborhood watch.
Well, people on one hand, you have to understand that people were inspired by it. Some say it was crazy, but they had something that people love. I remember coming out of Bobby Seals' house one morning, and he knew the people, elders in the neighborhood, and after they said, "Oh, Mr. So he was the elder," and he said, "Bobby," he said, "I love those programs, but I just don't like the guns." So you see, we had people who like certain aspects of certain things at the party, would be willing to contribute to those issues. They understood the need of what was doing in self-defense, but they kind of didn't themselves like that. Want to think of it as something they would do, So you had that, plus the fact that we got funding also because we had great communicators then. Elders, Kathleen people, Bobby Seale, Hewitt, and on a rank and file level, Panthers, publications wanted to do interviews. You had those major publications, Look, Life, Playboy, all those, different films, all that.
Gotcha.
We had our own printing operation where we could print everything except a newspaper that we developed. And so we print our posters, everything, So we could print posters in-house, had community printing operation, and at the peak of operation, it was 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Around the clock.
Was there?
It evolved.
It evolved. How about celebrities? Did you guys get a lot of support from celebrities financially? Any notables?
Oh yeah, you had those who. Yeah, one of the first ones was Marlon Brando. Because when Little Bobby Hutton was murdered, he came to the Bay Area and said that could have been his son. And he sung out for a couple of weeks. And I think he did about 10, 15, and during that time, which was a lot of money, during that period. And so you always had connections. Still in LA, we had people who were connected to in Hollywood that came work with the Powers Party. They got us in touch with the Hollywood types who wanted to talk with Panthers and what have you and contribute. you know. And then we also had, as we evolved, we had the Oak School, alternative school. You had people like Oscar Brown Jr., who came for a week and did stuff with the kids back during the day. Abby Lincoln out of Masika, she came for a couple of weeks. Rosa Parks came to visit the school for a couple of weeks in the early 70s. So, Richard Pryor came to that because you had, what's his name, Soul Train. We did a fundraiser.
Don Cornelius, yeah.
Yeah, he came through donated money. John Lee Hooker did fundraisers for us. We did thing with Santana when he was before he was known, yeah. We connected with Earth, Wind, and Fire. Never got anything. That's when they had the 3 stages: Earth, Wind, and when they were first started.
How about the Fondas? Did the Fondas help out?
Jane Fonda.
Yeah, Jane Fonda. Yeah.
Yeah, she adopted one of the Panthers' kids. Yeah. So we had many layers in relationship to the organization itself.
I apologize. I cut off that Earth, Wind, and Fire story. You want to finish that because I know people in the chat probably want to hear it finished.
Yeah. Well, I just remember Maurice. I remember when they came to the Berkeley Community Theater in Berkeley, California, and after the show, we were able to connect with them. They knew about the Panthers and were excited, and we had been talking about trying to do a fundraiser with them, but it never materialized during that time. But that's when they had when the fire, before they even became real famous. They were known, but that was when they had the 3 phases of it. They call it Earth, the Wind, and the Fire. So they did 3-phase kind of thing. Yeah.
And can you give us some insight on Huey P. Newton and how the end of the Black Panther Party and actually his life?
Yeah, well, he got caught up in the substance abuse, which is a disease. I mean, he was the only one that got caught up in it. You got preachers, you got lawyers, you got doctors. So that they tried to use it to make him the villain in the context of it, but it was disease that impacted local government officials across the country. All that. So in that context, that's how and plus came out of a period of the 60s. When there was experimental drugs happening there. You get the flower hippie era.
Sure. Yeah.
All that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like when you said the experimental drugs, thoughts popped in my head how Bill Walton and those bands that he listened to, they celebrated it, but they demonized it as it relates to Huey P. Newton.
Yeah. And why I say, let them always let it be known that, they deem that, but it's a disease. It impacts a lot of people, in the party, outside the party. People, officials, all faces, all walks of life. Yeah.
Who was Huey P. Newton? Can you as detailed as you can get, man? You can tell stories. I'm very interested.
Well, I mean, when I first met Huey, he was a small, quiet, reluctant, standing back person. He used to have a big natural.
That's how I've seen him.
When they pictured him in the wicker chair, he really didn't want to take that picture. Eldridge was the one that said, well, he thought it would be a great pose to put together. So Eldridge was the one that formulated that. And Huey finally went along with it and became one of the most famous pictures that you see of.
Yep.
But he was reluctant to really want to do that picture, himself. Yeah. But he was played back, but he was focused. He was serious. He could be out community talking on when the patrols are going on, because a lot of times when I went out as an observer. With Eldridge, and I also being a part of that, going out on the patrol, because they had already been training for quite a while. So they say, well, now you can just come out on observe and check out what's going on, and you should hang out with that, and it would be we had talking, discussion, politics, all kinds of stuff, having fun. Then when incident came down, and it was that whole mentality changed. It was like 0 and it was ready to the ultimate sacrifice if it had came to that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like that. And then after that, they have to relieve. And sometime you got click, click, click. It looked like it was gonna go off. You know.
And you was a part of the quick gang.
Oh yeah. In fact, sometimes, yeah.
Bobby Seals. Who was Bobby Seals?
Well, Bobby Seals was a great communicator. He was a humorous person. Yeah. I mean, he was one. Everybody he was the one could understand Huey and break it down so every comrade could understand it. The communication. Everybody knows the spirit of what it was about, but maybe we just really understand it on the intellectual level in many ways. Bobby was the one that could sit there and break it down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Eldridge Cleavers. Eldridge, excuse me. Eldridge. Yes. Eldridge Cleaver.
Eldridge Cleaver was a brother who came into the party because when he got out, Hugh and Bobby had heard of him as a writer in prison and just happened everything up. And got out and when heard that Sister Bears wanted to go with and Bobby were at the airport and pulled her off the plane. She wanted to go to Rapport magazine to connect with Eldridge because she knew he was following Malcolm in prison. And Hugh and Bobby were the ones over there. I went with. They told me to hang out outside, observe, see what might be happening. That was when they began to connect with Eldridge, because they said they knew him as a writer, and they had the paper, had the whole vision for the paper. The paper hadn't even started, but they wanted him to be the writer for the paper. They had a brother named Albert Man Howard. He was one of the first members of the group organization, but he was beginning to do other things. So they needed somebody to be the minister of information, the writer for the paper. So they were trying to recruit him. So that's how the connection came about with Eldridge in the party. And it was Eldridge who, I think, and what have you, free movement. When he connected with Kathleen worked on the paper, myself, Kathleen, and Eldridge, initially, before they were even headquarters. We used to do it out of his studio apartment. With the minimum amount of graphic materials that I had available from City College to put the paper together. And it's all there. But and that they would always come back and talk to Eldridge and communicating with him on certain issues. Over a period of time, if they had some criticism or thing about him, they wouldn't do it even public around it. They put him to the side and they go off in the room and whatever it was, they come back and they say, yeah, can't do that, do that. And that would be it. But they never did a public thing, criticizing, what have you, those kinds of things.
How about, we Black Panther Party has some great women too. Elaine Brown, Kathleen Cleaver, Angela Davis. You might want to elaborate on that?
Well, in the beginning, there were always women in the party. Maybe not at the point, at the height of the party in the 70s, there were more women in the party than men. Because it's a male-dominated organization from its inception. But because you had a lot of sisters who were hardcore, so they came in the party in the beginning phases of the organization. And they were the ones then just talk about, hey, we get shot at too. Where's our position? You know?
Gotcha.
So you heard that going on day one, from time to time. But it was done in a loving manner. It wasn't done in a spiteful way, in the context of divisiveness, but just demanding and what have you. And so as you evolve, the party evolved, the chapter in LA evolved. That's how Bunchy, one who connected with Elaine Brown, you see. Erica Huggins was part of the in LA and was charged with Bobby the murder of in New Haven, which they were exonerated of, and the provocateur who infiltrated the found guilty of. Came also this icon figure symbol through the Free Erica, Free Bobby thing at during that particular time. They had great. What Cleveland was a great communicator, in the party and what happened. And when Huey had to leave and go into exile, Elaine Brown became the chairperson of the party. This is under the directive that it should be done at that. So women were an integral part. We were their other half, and our other half. I mean, they speak of it in context as well. And so I mean, was on security. When I had to go underground, we were the ones who took the officers to kids. But at the same time, that became questionable concern because it felt that it was not a balanced kind of situation. So we had meetings and discussions where we said the children were all of our children. So the men had to take care of the babies. As the men had to do cooking, the men had to learn to do typing, all the things in the organization. Make things work. And so that was a part of the growth of the organization itself. And when we lived in collective, had the same thing. We had child care centers. You had the brothers who were running the child care centers. You see, had brothers who had to learn to take responsibility from women who came in with the chauvinistic attitudes because we were a microcosm of the macrocosm. We come out of the society. We wasn't no different from that. We brought all our baggage into the organization. So when you do that, you have certain times and phases, you're going to have problems that can destroy the party. So you have to work to resolve those issues in order to move forward. So that's what we were able to do. We had meetings and discussions with those brothers and where they didn't want to take orders from sisters, where they had to work under that system, learn to respect that system, and using the B word. That became outlaw. You couldn't do that. All that.
How did you join the Black Panther Party?
Mm-hmm.
How would a civilian go about joining the Black Panther Party?
Well, in the early days, you had people call in wanting to set up chapters and branches, and that was the infant phases of the party. You had people calling wanting to set them up, then come to find out that they may not have been the right one, so we started having people come to the base, and they have to stay for a week or two, get a feel for who they were, and then they would have to come to the political education classes and the things that were taken care of. Then that was they see in the newspaper, selling newspaper. All the things we had to do was required reading, political education classes, constructive evaluation and criticism of self, and how to improve the work. They had to implement that same structure around the country. However, it was a large group or a small group. It didn't make a difference. It had to be implemented in that context. Yeah.
What was, in your opinion, what was the highest moment, the most fun it was being a member of the Black Panther Party?
Well, it was all of it was to the standpoint of our making our contribution to the community.
Beautiful.
That was a powerful, our international solidarity with liberation movements around the world, that. Because in 1967, we were invited to Cuba. In 1967. Huey had said he wanted me to go, but Bobby lobbied against my going. He said, well, we ain't got nobody to work on the paper now, Huey. So I wasn't able to go, but George Murray, who was the first minister of education, went. You see, so we was in solidarity with the different African liberation movements. We held forums at our Oakland Community Learning Center, which was the Oakland Community School during the day. So we were invited to that international forum that they had on the war against Vietnam in Canada. Bobby Seale was there. We had those who went to North Vietnam. We had Panther who went to North Korea. We had sent delegations to China, 1970, 71. Huey went to China with Elaine Brown. Then was the communication secretary. And they asked him there, and he was supposed to meet with Mao. Mao was ill, so he met Show and Lie, the vice premier, and he was staying at the Peking Hotel, and he was leaving out, and he just so happened that Samora Machel, who became the president of Mozambique, who was then the head of the liberation movement in Mozambique, there, and they got a photograph of him and Samora Machel shaking hands.
Gotcha.
And so they asked Huey then, and Huey reason why he went in 19 was because Dayton was about to start with Henry Kissinger, and they were making a deal. So therefore, if Dayton, it would have been legal to go. So symbolically, we wanted to go in violation of that. Illegal, not because the government said we can go. We want to go because we wanted to go.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And so what happened while he was there, they asked him to set up, they sent a delegation to come back. And myself and Masai Hewitt were the ones who led that delegation. We took a diverse group of people. It was Asian, white, Panthers, non-Panthers, brown people. It was about 19 of us. And we stayed for, I think it was 31 days. And they took care of the whole thing.
Wow.
When we traveled, because they wanted us to bring a diverse group of Americans. So we did that, including Panthers. And so what happened when we got to Canada, they tried to block us. They held us up over 19 hours. We missed our flight. So we had to take the flight to Japan, spend overnight in Japan. Then when we got to Hong Kong, they put us up in a hotel, suite for about a week or two, and took care of the food, everything. And so, and then to finally, when we got ready to leave, we had, the British were still controlling things then.
Gotcha.
And then we had to get our passports and all that stuff. And it's like it's a big tunnel, like a block long. When you walk through that tunnel, you're in China. We was in Canton. Yeah, and then we were there. Then we went from Canton, now called Beijing, was Peking then. Whole different world then from now.
Sure.
But then we were there for 31 days. We were everywhere. We went to factories. We been to hospitals. We went to places where Mao did on literature and art. When we were there, we heard. We asked them, we heard all of them because we stayed there at night, and the buildings were shaking. We said, well, what's all that noise? He said, well, we're close to Vietnam. The war was still going on. That's where that location was. And so, it was an amazing journey, in solidarity. And going back to that history of going there, how many parts of Black liberation supported and identified with China, in particular Black Panther Party. For one, you and them used to sell a red book to make money to buy the technical equipment. The students on the university used to like to read those books. But also, China was where embraced Robert Williams, Mabel Williams, when they had to leave in exile. And especially from Monroe, North Carolina, when he was the head of the NAACP, the most radical, which they expelled him from because it was so progressive and sense. And he left the country, went to Cuba. I think he went to Africa, Tanzania, and then he went to China. And they let him stay. And we should see him on the front of the Peking Review and stuff, sitting with Mao.
Wow.
So that that spirit there, you see that kind of support, solidarity. Yeah. And he stayed there until he came back to Detroit. And he stayed in Detroit until they dropped charges against him in Monroe, North Carolina.
Yeah. Now, with the height of the Black Panther Party, so someone asked, do you think that if the Black Panther Party was still going today, it would have had a great impact on the Bloods and the Crips in our community?
Well, most of the Panthers came from the Slaussons and the other gangs.
Yeah, the Slaussons, in L.A. Yeah, on Central.
And you have to understand that the Panthers in Chicago were the only ones that could go into those projects where those gangs were in Chicago. They had respect for us. That's why they started sending those to Jeff Ford and all them, those letters saying, watch out, the Panthers are trying out to kill you and what have you. and had a meeting with Jeff Ford when he came to Oakland, California, to clarify what that was about. He and Huey had a meeting because then they began to implement some of the programs that we were implementing. See, so they're shifting. And we've always said that our position was, it was not about we weren't trying to break up the game. We know it's going to be a positive, but it's the shifting the mindset of the game. You see, because you got a powerful force there for change, but you got to shift the mindset. That's the dynamic that's the issue, and the long range process. So that was, and so we went on one, and it was another one on the south side where we at least have pictures of Huey in their office and stuff. So they had a different mindset, but they resented the system in the context of them being victimized, and when you're out there, and they firsthand, we always used to say that. That's how you had a lot of street people from the street who interested about it, because they understood firsthand how the police was. Because when they get busted, they beat them down, call them all out their lane. So they understood that. So they wanted to fight against that. That was a level of consciousness right there. Then you have to deal with all the other stuff. Yeah.
Now looking back, how can you see COINTELPRO and the Black Panther Party looking back at it now from 50,000 feet?
COINTELPRO now?
No, I said if it's 2020 now. Now, when you look back on your memories and your experiences in the Black Panther Party, would you be able to identify COINTELPRO actually in the Black Panther Party? And
well, we didn't know what it was for a long time. We knew it was something, but we had no idea it was called COINTELPRO. Say it till later on. We understood it was something because we remember in 1967 in Berkeley, California, which was the epicenter of the police stuff that goes on in the world today. That was the epicenter. And what happened? You had a policeman who had compassion, you could say, understanding, had sent us a tape on this that had this tape and had these visions. Well, they had this plan when our office was in Berkeley then, that they had a plan to come in to raid the office. Had a plan, had a dead wagon out there to evacuate the dead. All of this had a whole plan mapped out, everything. And the press went and asked them about it the next day, the police chief. And he said, yeah, that's the plan, but not the whole plan, you see. So we knew then, early on, in the context, and then you knew it because of Snake and how they traveled with Stokely. Back then in the day when Stokely, I remember traveling with Stokely when he was married to Mary McKeever. And when we went back to D.C., the police, the FBI had it 24 hours. They sit out in front of his house all night long. He looked out the window in the morning waiting. That kind of stuff. When they were him and Rap and all of them were traveling around here, come here, FBI tail, you see. So you just shifted to electronically later on.
Gotcha.
Of course, yeah. So it's not like it just started. We knew about it, but we just didn't know what it was. We knew it was happening. We understood it, like Malcolm said when he would
when he went to Mecca
speak. He would say brothers, sisters, friends, and enemies.
Yeah. There's too many people here. As he was saying, too many people here for me not to have any enemies. I remember Malcolm said that. Yeah. Now, when you think about your memories of it, can you identify COINTELPRO in the Black Panther Party if you think about it now?
Sometimes you maybe did. You thought it was. You always hear people coming in. You had people. For example, at the school, you had an old white guy come in and want to work at school, and I guess one, if we said we didn't have no position, and he could maybe want to fight one of the racial civil rights laws for saying that we, I guess, not hiring him,
Mm-hmm.
And so you hire him and you work them to death. They do it, and then they leave.
Oh man!
You got different phases, different levels.
Mm-hmm.
When they come in, they doing what they come to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you put them to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you might think that, and then you have the people in the community might tell you so Mike is doing something, and maybe not selling papers, or they found papers dished over here, flounces, and that kind of stuff. Then it may be because just they lacking, But then you got all those kinds of stuff. Yeah.
What's your take on J. Edgar Hoover now?
Same as it was then. That he was a racist, and he didn't like black people. And particularly, he hates Black Panther Party. He had our programs. The breakfast program was considered the number one threat to the internal security of the United States. A breakfast program, a free breakfast for school kids.
And y'all were feeding more kids than the government at one point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You had the treasurer of the state of California, who was Jesse Enru. At that time, that was considered to be a more powerful position than the governor of the state of California, because he dealt with all the economics and stuff. And he said on the news that the Black Panther Party was feeding more, than the United States government. That blasted all day long on the news, But we were. That's why you had the free lunch programs in the school implemented. We called it free breakfast program. Yeah.
When did politics become important to the Black Panther Party, or was it always?
Well, it always,
because you started because you had candidates run and stuff and.
Yeah, but we understand. We say politics start with a hungry storm stomach.
Say it again.
Politics starts with inferior education. Politics starts with dilapidated housing.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? In that sense, we were always about political issues involved with the system, the way black people had to live, the quality of life issues, But getting involved in the political arena was just a thing that just happened. I think when we ran for office on local level was to be oversight in relationship to making sure those who were hustling off of those positions that the funding was going to go into the community the way it's supposed to go.
Sure.
That was why we ran candidates local level on those levels, okay? But when we ran Bobby for the mayor of Oakland, that just so happens that we went to we were going to support a well-known supporter of the Black Panther Party for many years, but he couldn't run at that time, and so in the meeting there were differences between us and the local Black Democrat club, but there was still respect and what have you, but there were differences. And I think Bobby had got up when they said couldn't decide who was going to run. Bobby said, "Well, I'm going to run," and so we had to back that up.
Yeah.
So,
whoa.
Yeah, and so that's why that's when the Bobby Steele for mayor, Lane Brown, congresswoman congressperson came into being. Yeah, but we also thereafter we got the first black mayor elected, Lionel Wilson.
Yeah,
he acknowledged that.
Yeah.
He acknowledged that to
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he couldn't have did out the panel. Yeah. John George, who was our lawyer, the first black lawyer we had, he was the first. He ran thereafter, became the first black supervisor of Alameda County. So we understood. But we didn't think that necessarily, we felt they were better. We didn't think they were going to shift and change the whole system. We understood the system was too corrupt for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How would
so we never looked at it from that perspective. Yeah.
How would the Black Panther Party approach the presidential election in November?
Probably have to, based on the situation, is voting for the lesser of two evils. Would be probably one, or probably vote for a alternative candidate other than what's there. Yeah, progressive.
Do you?
Because we might have, like we did when we ran Elder Cleveland for president. We ran Huey for Congress. I think Councilman Cleveland for Congress on the Peace and Freedom Party back in the day. Yeah. But we use it as a platform to talk about political issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's a great way to go about doing it.
Yeah, and you have to that when we ran the district that we ran Huey Newton in, Ron Dellums was their state representative. He was always a good ally about it, always. And Barbara Lee she was a student at Mills College. She worked with the community breakfast program all the time. She always acknowledges that. And she was an aide working with Dellums then as well. He's seen how progressive that district was that we were calling the Free Huey movement in. That's the district that he ran in. He became the congressman for 20-some years. Yeah.
Talk about the Free Huey campaign. I actually have a sweater. Talk about that process and that journey.
Well, that process started when okay, what happened is we had been, myself with David Hilliard and other Panthers in the early phases of the party, had been out organized with all and going into the hood with Huey and connected with Bobby off and on because Bobby had a group of the Panthers with him, but myself and David was with Huey. And we would be down in the hood talking with our street folks and then going over there with Huey to these middle class where the judges and black judges and lawyers hung out. And he'd be debating, discussing with them. And they've been doing that day in and day out for about almost 3 weeks. I'm still transitioning from my working at the YMCA in the black community. Had an upcoming thing that I had to do that weekend. David was tired. We both were. He was running, but we were kind of getting tired. So we said that we were going to. David told Huey that he was going to get another brother to come and hang out with him, which his name was Gene McKinney. Because we were, we needed to do what we had to do, and he agreed to that. And that morning, about 2 a.m., I got a call that Huey had been shot, and that the police had been killed, one had been wounded, and that was the 1-5 what I told you about, where we put his badge number on the thing. So it was thereafter the Huey movement started by having these meetings on 7th Street at Esther's Ballroom, which is none of that's there now, where we met initially with the officials to Free Huey movement started. And we met there with Melvin Newton, Huey's brother, a few other friends, Huey, myself, I think it was Eldridge and Kathleen Cleaver, and a few others that were involved. And that was the big phases of the Free Huey movement begin. And, it was the fact that what he stood symbolized, that was another costly event. Because then you had all kinds of people wanting to be part of the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
It was people were running away from it. People were running towards
it. Well, yeah. Well, it was, and did he shoot the police officer or murder the police officer, or was it alleged?
Well, what happened is him and Gene McKinney was there together, and they got in a tussle. And I think Huey got shot, and he wounded one, and I think Gene McKinney might have shot the other one and killed the other one.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Man, so much history, man. So much history. And speaking of future history, you're working with Spike Lee.
Yes. Well, Spike called me, and I thought it was a fake call, and I didn't respond.
Kind of like me. Kind of like me, right?
He called me back, and he said, "This is the real Spike Lee. I want to talk to you about the business." So I called him back, and he explained to me that he liked the poster that I did in 1969. It said, had this collage of this poster of this military, this black GI, and the helmet had these things we were fighting against, and it's because of the slogan was, "Our fight is not in Vietnam, free the GIs." And so what happened was that he connected me with his art director, Kenny Galveston, brother in LA, and we got together and we want me to get the spirit of that image into one of the posters that they were going to use for the film, The Five Bloods. And so that's how it came about. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, oh, very well, very well.
Okay. So that's how that came about. And he hooked it up, so he came by the house. So maybe about a week after that, when he was in town, and that's when the interview took place.
I saw that,
here, and then we went over to Oakland and to Bobby Hutton Park and what have you.
Yeah, that's that was pretty dope, man. For real. Yeah, that was incredible. What would you want the Black Panther Party to be remembered for? Like, and would you want to I dare to say reboot, because the spirit still isn't dead, but do you think we need a reincarnation or a rise like the Phoenix of the Black Panther Party as it was in the late 60s?
Well, you can't do a thing, because what they've done is they made laws, put into laws things then that they did criminally to stop and to murder and what have you. So now they just wipe them off the map, call them a terrorist organization. If you don't have no context to it, maybe you don't, what have you. Because what we done was highly intense, many levels to it, many factors to it as well. So it's a whole nother dynamic that you're dealing with then and now, in the context of you just gotta look at it from the standpoint of what has been made into law, how they made every effort to prevent any type of resistance or organization such as the Black Panther Party, as it was in 1967, 68, 67, in the 60s, coming about again. That's why all over the years they try to demonize anytime somebody was saying something, because the impact and the power of it. But in another way, today you have Black Lives Matter to have that kind of impact in many ways, not in the context of how it was then, but in the context of now, because if it didn't have an impact, you wouldn't have talking about trying to put them on a terrorist list. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them. It's just you got to look at how they reacted to it, to the organization as an overall. So there's, but I think that dynamics then, you have those who, and I can't speak to who have called themselves Black Panthers, the new Black Panthers, but I can't say what they're doing is the context of what we done. Because, we were out there in gun battles.
Well, you had to, you had the genesis of it.
Where we feeding hungry kids all over the country. When it was raiding out and the shootouts, first thing they was destroying the milk, the eggs, and the stuff that was in the refrigerators. You see what I'm saying?
And you rewrote the gun laws.
Yeah. Yes. And not only that, when we had our school, Maya Angelou used to come to the school and talk with the kids at school. So we were multifaceted, but we understood, that we were not just we were a revolutionary organization.
Very much so. Very much so. And how does it make you feel when you hear someone like Tupac reincarnate or reinvigorate the spirit of the Black Panther Party? And have you ever met him? Did you meet him?
I met him. His mother too.
I see that. I know that. Yeah, we all know that. Yeah, that's why I was asking.
That's the spirit of what you come on. Geronimo Jajaga Pratt was his grandfather. Godfather. Yeah. In that sense. So that's the spirit of Tupac come out.
What will
and that's it.
my final question, because I can keep you here all day, and I know you got the rest of your life to live, but I just you got to come back. Please come back. Please come back. What's in one what movies would you suggest for the Black Panther Party? Like the Black Panther movie, Vanguard of a Revolution.
Yeah, Vanguard of a Revolution is a 101. I think that's the best 101 we have. I mean, it's so much that you can't cover everything in one movie.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think that would be a good one. It's got one. It's a documentary. It was done by PBS for Levon Vert of Roots, where he talked about alternative schools.
Yeah,
and the Black Panther Party school was one of those alternative schools that were highlighted. I think that's a relevant one. It's kind of grainy. It's on online. It is. You can just look and see. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. Any last? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, like, what would you want to say to the people fighting today, future generations? What would you, if we had to lean on you for advice and or encouragement, what would you tell us?
Well, I said to continue to be inspired and be in spirit with everyone who's in the struggle. I would say you can don't do it because of the fun of it, but you can just have fun while you're doing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Do and be committed to what you're doing. You know,
gotcha.
Don't be ups and downs. It ain't gonna always be that glorified gratification moment that you may see and get excited about that brings you into being a part of an organization or the movement itself. It's work. It's a job. And it can be on the job training. That's what I was, on the job training. You know, so we got to be open to coming together collectively and solving your internal issues so you can move forward. You know, because all that's come into play.
Yeah. I got one more question. Can I ask you one more question? Do you know have you ever looked at your life from 50,000 feet and looked at your work and realized how important you were to our liberations?
Have I ever looked again?
I said, have you ever sat down in your rocking chair? I'm just creating this visual for you. Sat down in your rocking chair on your front lawn while your grandkids play and realize how important your artwork was and your actual work in the Black Panther Party means for our liberation today? Have you ever patted yourself on the back?
No, because I always thought it was not a me, but a we art. Art, it was a reflection of a whole dynamics that was existing. And even today, I haven't given thought about it because I had up until the lockdown, this place of shelter, I had been traveling 3 or 4 times a year. I've been done out there with chefs. I'll send you the resume bio.
Thank you.
But I've been there 4 or 5 times, done collaboration with them. They remix some images with Mayan symbols in them, in Chiapas that were embroideries were made of. That had in Brazil, both Colombia have exhibitions there, in Mexico, over in The Hague, in the UK, you know, over in Africa and Tanzania, you know, and so, you know, you see that you're in spirit with people who are inspired by the work.
Sure.
But I see it from the standpoint that they can see within the work some of the things being inspired by the situations that they themselves are confronted with as young people. And there's a lot of young people. A lot of people come to a lot of the presentations I've done. Some have been designers. Some have been craftsmen people. It's not just, it's all kinds of performing artists, all kinds of people, you know, young people who are trying to figure out how they can integrate social justice into their work.
Facts.
So that's important. That's that the continuation of being inspired by the work in the context of today, not then. They may influence what I've done then, but also being inspired by what it means to them today. At the same time, being appreciative of what I have done and continue to do today.
Yeah. Well, I'll close by saying this. My roommate in college, mother and family members were Black Panthers, and they spoke of you highly. So you've had a great impact on the community and like the work that you did, because I've seen all the pamphlets and stuff. Because I used to drive to Oakland, and visit his family, and you've had a great impact. And I didn't understand it then because I'm 19 and all I cared about was basketball and women, right? So I didn't really put that into play. But now that I'm a grown man and I have kids, I have a greater understanding and a better grasp of your significance and importance and your sacrifice. So I just wanted to say thank you and give you your roses now. You know what I mean? And we are forever indebted to you. You know,
well, thank you, brother. I humbly accept the appreciation. Yes.
And
thank you.
And I would love for you to come back in here anytime.
Okay, well, brother, just let me know, and I'll be happy to.
I appreciate you. The great Emory Douglas, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All the time.
Okay, brother.
Emory Douglas, man. Standing ovation, right? Standing ovation. Yeah, man. I could have kept him on for on and on and on, but I was like, man, I'm not even halfway through my notes, man. I said, nah, I'm not. I didn't want to keep him, but man, it was a hell of an interview, man. Please share this, man. This is going to be a great source and a great well for of our history. So please share, and I appreciate everybody coming in, man. What a morning, right? If you love and support Minister Farrakhan and the NOI and what he stands for, and then we transition into the great Emory Douglas. And when you Google him, you're going to realize, like, when you see, because when you're looking at the Black Panther Party and you seeing those visualizations, that's him. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing. You know what I mean? Is so I thanks, Sammy. I appreciate you. And you know what I mean, we just taking a walk down. All we doing is walking down the beach together. You know what I mean? That's the goal. You know what I mean? Walk down the beach together. You know what I mean? And everything is an open book. So yeah, it was fun interviewing him, and I could have gone 2 more hours. I lie, but I didn't want to keep him, man. And I know he was fired up. I could tell he had more to tell, man. I'm gonna call him in a couple more months. You know what I mean? And we'll gladly have him back on, man. So smash that like button, man. Smash that like button. Appreciate you, CB Sport. I appreciate everyone in here on the Saturday, man. Hopefully I got to everybody's questions, man. And that's why it's important you guys come in on the live. You know what I mean? It's important you guys come in on the live. You know what I mean? If I would have beamed them in, I would have opened up the phone lines for a few questions, but I can tell when he was saying, "Can you hear me now?" that the audio probably would have been a problem for him. So that's why I didn't do it. But we'll get him next time. And yeah, man, he was splendid, man. Splendid time, man. So I appreciate you, man. Go enjoy your Saturday, man. And we'll be back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is DB still in here? DB, you still here, big homie? Are you gone? I know it's Saturday. It's 12:33 in LA. I already know how beautiful LA is at 12:33 on a Saturday. If you don't know, you better hop on the plane. In the dead of the summer, shit. DB gone, man. So we just gonna play the song, man. I appreciate you, DB. Hopefully I asked everybody's questions. And if I didn't ask it, it's at the beginning of the interview. It was before you asked it, okay? Because I made sure, because I wanted y'all to be an important part of the interview process. So thank you. I believe I asked every question that was in there. And if I rephrased it or remixed it, it was just to create better transitions to the interview, in my humble opinion. I could be wrong, but yeah. So that's it, man. We're gonna get the hell out of here, man. We're gonna play the damn song, Fred. Oh man, sir, CB Sports, Kenyatta, Tex, I appreciate you. Reggie, Lavelle, G Brown, Sam A, Lane, boxing fans, I appreciate you, man. J8, all the time, big homie. Mr. Harris, appreciate you. Picasso, Lane, G Brown, Sam A, man. Triple OG, what it do, big homie? I'm gonna see you tomorrow night. For sure, Patty, what it do, Patty? Big Dog Willie, I appreciate you, homie. Yeah, man, it was a hell of an interview, man. We got a lot of information, Reggie Owens. A lot of information. Kenyatta Ali, CMB Sports, Maurice McElroy, man. Yeah, man, it's cool, man. So thank you, man. 2 hours, wow. Damn. Time go by fast. Damn. Last time, y'all, we gonna get out of here with no rehearsal. Drew Titan. That's my nigga, dog. Drew Titan. I'll tell you, personal. Cause the devil is a lie. Hey. I'm telling you the truth. Hey. It's all in what you do. Hey. Some things you gotta do. Hey. And Monday, we got one of the producers of Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap albums. So the hits just keep coming, y'all. The hits just keep coming. All we do is create classics on this channel. We got Drew Titan tomorrow, man. Don't forget 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, man. Drew Titan coming with a heater. All right, so make sure y'all in there. All right, Triple OG, I love you, Triple OG, man. I'll see you tomorrow night. Love you, Drew. Sir, I love all y'all, man. I'll see y'all niggas tomorrow. And I got to do 3 or 4 videos a day. we got to stay on them, man, about the play the song, Picasso. We got to stay on them about the glove gate, man. I love y'all, man. I'll see y'all niggas tomorrow. Play this for Rob. We go, man. See y'all niggas tomorrow.